All right, welcome everyone. We are Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for My Hero Academia, Season 5, Episode 6.
Okay, Tokuyami has his dark fallen angel.
It's just Dark Shadow under his cape picking him up and flying around.
Flying with him.
Okay, sure.
All right. Yeah. It's a very ingenious, creative use of the quirk, you know, and getting into the details of the physics and how it works and everything. As far as the design and the aesthetic look of it, though, doesn't quite hold up to the name. Tis neither here nor there.
I'm more of a fan of the raiment that comes all over.
Yeah,
him.
Exactly,
and
then sprouts wings or something. I don't know. Yeah.
But we have seen that this arc is going to combine some stuff from the students' backstories, and not just backstories, but like the stories of what they've gone through thus far.
Exactly.
With pro heroes like Hawks and Tokuyami, who spent a bit of time together. And given that Hawks has been focused a bit in recent episodes regarding his complicated scenario he's in, looking forward to seeing how they blend that stuff in with the future fights, because at the very least for one of them, it's going to have Todoroki in it.
That is true.
And he's dealing with his own stuff with Papa Endeavor. So that could be really interesting. But we're in the middle of the fight with Tokuyami. Dark Shadow also needs to be added into the roster, of course. Yes. Invisible Girl, Momo, and Aoyama.
Right.
And Class 1B's got some pretty strong characters.
They do. Mushroom Girl is making an entrance.
Mini entrance. Entrance. She's enning all over the battlefield.
Who knew that mushrooms were a good way to counter Invisible Girl?
Now we just have to see if they go full Dorohedoro and actually make these mushrooms violent, because
it's a good point, because they could just be aesthetic, you know?
They could just be a thing to block movement and visibility.
Yeah.
But they could also take nutrients from the things that they grow from. And
it could get weird. It could get real
fungus
weird.
among us.
Yep.
So y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. All right.
Okay.
So, Class 1B1.
Yep.
I'm not surprised once we started to see the full ramifications of all their quirks, which we didn't get to see immediately, so we weren't really kind of brought up to speed with what was possible from them.
There were some very clever usages of quirks on both sides. Which made me wonder what exactly are any of the rules and regulations of what students can and can't do, because clogging a windpipe.
Just remember, Todoroki is out there and Bakugo is out there with the ability to literally blow people's limbs off or set them on fire.
Totally, right.
So it is up to the discretion of the people there to, make sure that they don't actually harm anyone permanently.
Exactly. And the idea is that, this is a superhero show. So, things like, Bakugo's explosions, he can use those on people and he doesn't blow limbs off, right? You don't need to have an enhancement quirk in order to not be turned into paste, right?
Right.
And so
and
the same thing kind of follows with suffocation,
right. And to be fair, she can just turn off the mushrooms probably at the snap of her fingers. So it's not an issue in that regard.
Yeah.
But we have ourselves the collection of quirks from Class 1B basically put on display for the purposes of showing, hey, Class 1B is really strong too, and the only reason they're not in Class 1A is because they didn't do as well on the exams and stuff like that. So they're basically the secondary course.
Right.
But they are still a hero course.
Exactly. And while they haven't been dealing with villains nearly as much as Class 1A, they still have been practicing and training their asses off. Right. So, okay, cool.
So what we see with Class 1A here is that Tokuyami and Momo are able to adapt faster in some ways to the stronger quirk assemblage that Class 1B has than Class 1B is to adapt to their plans, because we saw that while Kendo basically did come up with some really good set of plans here, in that, we'll counter Dark Shadow this way, and then we'll counter their their other side of the team with this combination of my quirk coming in there and getting Momo when she's isolated,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
and then our manga guy coming in with these really strong walls that he can set up.
Oh yeah, that was a really good thing to have in there, because divide and conquer is the name of the game in these kinds of fights, right? And the fact that they sent one of their team on their own, essentially, the shadow guy to deal with Tokiyami,
yeah.
that was something that originally I was like, hold on now, like
Right.
that's he can move around quickly, but that's still a big risk, right? Because he could easily just get captured.
Yeah. And it is a little bit of a thing of where I'm like, oh, okay, I guess Class 1A doesn't know some of their quirks, but then
Right.
they also do know some of them. It's like,
Yeah, if anything, this
I get how Class 1B knows about their quirks because of the tournament, and
they're much more in the limelight.
much
yeah.
more in the limelight. Yeah,
Yeah.
but people were talking about the quirks of other characters when it was like, oh, okay, I guess they just don't know about them.
Now there were things like so things like Momo using the cannon and the ropes and everything to try and isolate Kendo, right? Of, oh shit, this I didn't account for this, right? Mm-hmm. Like the thing that they were saying of like, this is all according to Momo's plan. It's like, well, hold on. I kind of take issue with that comment.
Yeah.
The sign of a really smart person is not that everything goes according to plan. It's that they can roll with the punches of when things don't go according to plan. They can adapt, right? Mm-hmm. And Momo showed that here, and I really like that. And even though it was more recap, the fact that they made the callback to the thing with Todoroki was great, because her big issue before was that things had to be meticulous. She wasn't adaptable, right? And that was where she showed that she actually could be. Mm-hmm. So the fact that when she's in the situation where she really is at the disadvantage, Kendo is going to kick her ass here, right?
Eventually.
Yeah. She comes up with the idea of, okay, I'll send out a care package to my team. Really.
I'll basically give everyone the effects of my quirk now in a way that I think would be helpful, which is something that she had to have come up on the fly, given that she didn't know what the enemy's quirks were.
Including thermal goggles, totally get that.
With a heads-up display.
What the fuck? Like, okay.
I mean, she had experience making kind of night gear of that type before in season 3, so it makes sense.
But damn.
But then also making ethanol spray cans.
Yeah, it's like that's a
all right.
that was a symbol of good adaptation.
Yeah.
Now
I felt like some Full Metal Alchemist shit,
Yeah, exactly. Now, there was the part of me that's like, okay, cool, night vision goggles in this place where you can't see very far. Why didn't you sort of just do that from the get-go for your whole team? But, maybe not Invisible Girl, since she's invisible and all that. But,
Yeah.
And then
Momo's quirk is never really going to be used in that intelligent of a ways, because unfortunately we as the audience can think of I could create anything.
Yeah. It's the Green Lantern effect. You got to just
second the game starts, because
exactly. Time. You're a god with prep time. So it ends up usually being more along the lines, even though it's not nearly this bad, of the Green Lantern thing of I make anvils and boxes and fists and hammers and stuff, right?
Which is unfortunate.
But then the fact that this was something that I thought was really cool, the fact that she's like, okay, I'm going to make a cannon in order to deploy it, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that I'm so glad it wasn't actually to try and shoot at Kendo, because that would have been dumb, right? Momo wouldn't have tried to do something like that.
Yeah.
And the idea that Kendo's thinking, she's actually just trying to blow down the wall so that way she's not isolated anymore, that makes sense. That would have been a potentially good strategy. But the fact that Momo then uses the fact that she can create things from her body to say, I can keep them attached to my body, though. I don't have to actually have them separate from me. So I can have ropes that tie you up and everything.
Steel ropes.
Steel cables and everything that are then also attached to the cannon. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So, Kendo, it doesn't matter whether you're moving or not. You won't even be able to drag me to the cage in a fast amount of time.
Yep, exactly.
When you're carrying, like 150 pounds of cannon attached to me,
easily, if not far more. If not for the fact that Kendo was a
strength user,
she would have been screwed, right? Like if
she had to spend all her strength just to pick it up and move it.
Yeah, exactly. Like imagine if that was someone else, like Toad Girl or whatever. It just would have been done, or even kind of maybe manga guy. He might have been able to say something to break
Yeah,
the steel cables or something,
there are
but-
other characters though that had probably the ability to find a way to cut the things that were
Right.
connected to her.
Yeah, but that was
yeah.
that was an excellent move. And in a team game where you've been isolated, right? If you can't beat the other person,
Just lock them in.
just
Perma CC.
just lock them in as close to perma CC as you can.
Yep.
Then great. And then the fact that Kendo was actually able to beat that and still get over and grab Invisible Girl, that just goes to show that she's really, really strong.
Really
right?
strong when her quirk is used in that way, which
Yeah.
is cool. So we have the hard counters to all the characters involved on the dark light kind of dynamic there. That was a cool back and forth that they played with there. I am really surprised though that things basically went to the point where Tokoyami nearly took down 2 of them at once by using the training that he learned from Hawks.
And the cloak to basically say, I can just snuff you into this collapsed space because you can exist in darkness, so I can just squish you down.
Right.
Awesome.
And then if you keep him in a place then where there's no shadows directly connected to him,
Yep.
he's trapped.
Yep. He can't get out.
That was when the girl basically did the bad thing of, okay, I'm going to use my mushrooms in an unfair way.
Right.
Which is, hey, I'll just say,
Uh-huh.
it's a thing that I was waiting for. We
Chemical
talked about how
weapons and
this
stuff.
is basically something that could go full Dorohedoro,
Yeah.
which means that in
Yeah.
a lot of ways, she can do much worse than grow
totally.
mushrooms in your windpipe. That's
yeah.
the nice way of doing it, because you don't die once you lose oxygen kind of
Not
going through
immediately,
there.
yeah,
no,
yeah.
you just go unconscious.
And then eventually you'll die.
Right. And all she
Yeah.
has to do is just be like, okay, he's unconscious, cool, now undo those. And in, a minute or 5, who knows, he'll get back up.
Now,
But
weirdly
by then
enough-
we'll have already won.
Now, funnily enough, this is something that Tokoyami he was not familiar with this at all.
No.
Right? So, of course, he wouldn't actually know how to do this, right? But with practice, he actually probably could figure out a way around that because Dark Shadow could just clean out his throat for him.
But they would keep growing.
But they'd keep growing.
So it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. It'd be very, very uncomfortable.
Right.
and-
So it's a nice way of showing that from Tokoyami's perspective, he might have actually been a little bit
a little bit nice.
a little bit kind, because he treated the dark guy as a serious threat and focused all of his energy on grabbing him here.
Really, what you should have done with the Toad Girl is just strangled her into unconsciousness. You know.
Toad Girl?
Or sorry,
No, Mushroom.
Mushroom Girl.
No. Just bonk on the head with Dark
Sure.
Shadow. They're all unconscious.
Yeah.
And the thing is, this dark guy, he still has to be connected to Shadow. Rather than once you've got him trapped in there, you can then just be like, all right, Dark Shadow, get your fist. Ayo! And then he just yeets him out of the thing and just boom, just done. And it's just like, all right, chop, chop.
Done.
Done. Because Tokoyami breaks the action economy. He is 2 players in one. That's why he's so strong.
He kind of had to be paired with Invisible Girl and then Invisible Girl had to have some way to actually be able to see her, and all that. But because if not for that, if you had someone who had an actual offensive quirk, with Tokoyami and Dark Shadow, that would have been ridiculous.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And hey, Invisible Girl, you got to wail on the manga guy.
Yep.
Which is hilarious because while he's getting hit, he's like,
Yep,
so
yep. And then also the fact that,
was wonderful.
Okay. The manga guy, right,
Yeah.
which is a very kind of fan servicey kind of nerd, thing, right? He just makes
Kapow!
manga stuff, kapow,
Kaboom!
right? Then you have the thing
Kaboom!
where, in order for it's like I was surprised that Mineta didn't make some commentary at some point of, don't you realize she's beating you up naked? In order to be fully, invisible and not able to be seen? So now you are getting roughed up by a naked girl.
but Mineta doesn't have to be, getting
exactly.
any stuff like that. So
Exactly.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
and the fact that we didn't get any commentary.
Well, we did get commentary from
we got a
Mineta.
little bit, but not that much. Not as much as it could have been this episode. I gotta say, I appreciated that.
Yeah. And also just the idea of the mushrooms growing on Invisible Girl as a way to just reveal her. That's something I liked in the previous episode once it was shown that it was happening, but I love that it went full just cover there where it's just like you just have a little waddling of mushrooms running around.
Just mushrooms. Yep.
Yeah. But okay, Class 1B has won their fight And while the next two specific fights look to be very Class 1A favored, I did think that this fight was pretty Class 1A favored as well. And that was entirely because, really, I didn't know what the quirks really were going to be of Class 1B. And that means the next fights are not so cut and dry.
Nope.
Yeah. I believe the next one, though, is Todoroki. And what's his name? Basically Todoroki's crew. But
yeah, and that's going to be a stomp, probably.
That will probably be a stomp because you can't really win if Todoroki just decides to Ice Age the world.
Right. Now, actually, let's pedal back a little bit here. It probably won't be a total stomp because, as has been shown so far, they're doing basically 2 episodes per fight. So, if that continues...
No. One of the fights was basically done in 1 episode.
Was it?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. They basically just teased it at the end of 1 episode. And then,
that's right. Yeah. It's been like an
episode
episode and a half. Yeah.
It's been like an episode and like a third. Really.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I am curious to see what the team that's going up against Todoroki and things like and other people of his caliber.
Well, we have to worry about Todoroki.
Right. Exactly.
What do we do?
Because it's like, well, shit, we can't actually like fight someone like that. So we need to have a very specific plan that we come into the game with, like, all right, we're going to do exactly this to take care of him.
Isolate the other people and basically just win the numbers game, and then we avoid Todoroki.
Right. Just if it starts getting cold or hot, just run.
Yeah, but Ida's on their team, so they can't really run away.
Yeah,
this is gonna be a stomp.
It's gonna be a stomp.
I can see it. Yeah, and then the next fight we'll have Bakugo in Class 1A, which means he is 100% going to win.
Oh, definitely.
Because if anything, they're probably gonna get upset about how definitively he'll win in like a potentially dangerous way.
Oh, sure. I could definitely see it being something where they get everyone but Bakugo and they still lose.
Sure.
Yeah.
But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see full-length timer version of this reaction and discussion, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. Any level support there gets you access to our Discord, where you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
Stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.